Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting us to be part of your second annual Space Science Symposium so that I can have a chance to share the work of our group to establish the first ever medical training program in aerospace, medicine, and surgery focused on training surgeons. Such a program does not exist in the United States. There are some other programs that you will hear about that focus on aerospace medicine. And we had a unique opportunity to focus on aerospace surgery owing to the talent of Dr. Eric Peterson to become both a surgeon, a real surgeon, and a flight surgeon. So Dr. Peterson and I attended the first symposium last year, along with our research coordinator, Ken Tidwell, and one of our residents in surgery. And thank you, Dr. Swindle, for connecting us since then to amazing scientists and collaborators who are present here today as well to evolve the rest of the story. At this moment in time, last year, we fit into this particular cubicle of the honeycomb, the medicine in space. But we were awaiting with bated breath that the tripartite between the University of Arizona and SpaceX and Banner Health could actually be executed so we could start searching for the physician who would be our first fellow. And I think this conference was in March of last year, and about 2 weeks afterwards, we concluded the festivities with the lawyers. Had I known that U of A had a law in space program, maybe we would have engaged them as well. It took 2 years. It took 2 years. But that was successful, so I view your conference as a very good luck charm, and I hope it is that for others and for our group even after today. So this is the College of Medicine in Phoenix. Our sister college, which is the original college, is just down the road from us here in Tucson. But 10 years ago, University of Arizona College of Medicine in Phoenix became accredited separately so that it works and lives like UCLA is separate from UC Berkeley, is separate from UC San Francisco. Dr. Peterson did his training in aerospace medicine in order to become a board-certified flight surgeon at SpaceX. And they recognize that he's the superstar that he is. We had recognized that back in 2015 when he joined us. And they invited him to essentially clone himself. So the scientist who was presenting earlier and had the question asked, how many years will it take before we can have self-replicating robots? And the answer was 50 to 100 maybe. Well, we need to make more Dr. Eric Petersons ASAP. And SpaceX needed to and wanted to partner with a university. They could have, even in California, even in Texas, partnered with various medical centers directly. Kaiser Permanentes, for example, in Los Angeles. And they needed a medical partner like Banner Health, which is our state's largest medical employer. They just wanted that to be part of a legacy of education and innovation and research and creating things forward. So these are the 3 constituents of this official contract to make more Dr. Eric Peterson flight surgeons. And so I devoted this slide to help describe a little bit what a flight surgeon in the ideal sense is. because there are physicians who are surgeons who are on standby at the various launch sites in the Kennedy Space Center and also in Boca Chica. Should anything happen to the pilots or the ground crew or the SpaceX or NASA employees in the context of their various daily jobs. But those physicians and surgeons may not actually know the principles of aerospace medicine. Conversely, there are pilots in the US Air Force who fly super fast jets, are the Tom Cruises of the world, and who may be physicians themselves. They get the honorary designation of being a flight surgeon, but they're not a surgeon in the sense of being able to do operations on a patient. Or they may also not know the in-depth dynamics of aerospace medicine. So a flight surgeon of the kind that Eric represents is that really bright, tiny intersection in the middle of that Venn diagram, and an ultra specialized individual. And so we designed our curriculum to really give exposure to the surgeon who will be starting this program to all of those dimensions, so that they in turn can be a resource to both NASA or commercial space agencies like SpaceX, like Blue Origin, like Axiom, none of whom have their own Eric Petersons yet. In the context, we have really built a robust group of new friends and collaborators. A year ago, 50%, the top row, 50% of the top row was not known to us. And that is what UASI helped network and connect. And so I'm very grateful for that. And Trent Tresh is in the audience. And we have really done great things just in the span of a year. So in meeting Dr. Fleming earlier and learning how much richness exists at the University of Arizona in the dimensions of space, space science, space exploration, astronomy, oh my goodness. I would like to begin the journey that space medicine becomes part of that story. And it started that story in 2015. Dr. Zenhauser is also at our University of Arizona, Phoenix, innovating great things in biomedical science for the space world. Haig Antablian is an EM doctor. He's not a surgeon, but he is an alumnus of our medical school. And he started some of the programs in emergency medicine that are beginning to pop up. As you can see, UT Houston, UCLA, Baylor MGH with the Trish program, Colorado, none of whom have this luxurious U of A history, and also none of whom train surgeons. Please meet Dr. Kaylee Stabenow. She is the inaugural Apex Fellow. She wanted to be present today, but she is still completing her ear, nose, and throat residency in Wisconsin, and will be joining us July 1st to go through the curriculum that I showed earlier. As you can see, she has a private pilot's license already and is accomplished in many ways. And her biggest, best dream job is to be one of these amazing astronauts one day. And also to be part of the medical crew that launches and lands them, like Dr. Peterson did back in 2020. Dr. Peterson designed the entire medical bay on the retrieval vessels that SpaceX uses to fish out, for lack of a better word, our fabulous astronauts when they land in the Gulf or in the Atlantic. And the thing is that currently, this is it in the United States for making more flight surgeons. There's one exceptionally famous program at UTMB. It celebrated its 30th anniversary this year. It only trains 2 physicians a year. Most of them are internal medicine, family medicine, preventative medicine, some emergency medicine physicians, because they are geared towards providing occupational health and primary care to the astronaut community just 30 minutes down the road at the NASA Johnson Space Center. They have some very famous alumni who have been astronauts and been part of the space shuttle program and current SpaceX programs, but they only make 2 people a year, and we need more Eric Petersons. And we need more Eric Petersons and Kaylee Stabenows because, in contrast to the vast amount of innovations and things that you have built on the engineering and technical side, medicine lags behind. It lags behind. There have been very few people who actually go to space. There are 41 active NASA astronauts. Only 30 physicians over the 339 astronauts since NASA was formed in 1958 have been physicians, and only 5 surgeons. And so the data is very limited. The generalizability from this perfect snapshot of humanity, most of whom were in the military and in perfect health, is difficult. The current medical plans for urgent contingencies at the International Space Station involve coming back to Earth, coming back to Biosphere 1. We cannot do that for the deep space missions. And so the literature describing our knowledge has likewise lagged. I went to PubMed, which is the repository for key medical contributions of new knowledge. Aerospace medicine represents less than 1% of collective knowledge on medical themes over the same 80-year period where physicians have contributed on these other themes. So it's important to have research collaborators like Trent Tresch and Kai Statz, who have built SAM, the simulation analog for the Moon and Mars. They're a habitat analog that can serve as a place where you can model certain medical scenarios, teach astronauts skills for medical care that are important in space. And we learn a lot, and it brings us joy not being in our natural environment as surgeons, and try to return the favor by having our collaborators see our daily world and see what surgery looks like. To highlight, thank you again to this group. We have formally submitted a NASA grant. I've been a surgeon 30 years. This is my first NASA grant. I just give kudos to everything that you have to do to submit all of the grants that you do. This was tougher than the toughest operation. So we passed step 1. We were invited to submit to step 2. Amen. And we'll see what they think about that in August. And what we will be doing in the SAM space is really mimicking some of the most commonly expected emergencies for deep space missions that NASA has formulated as part of their IMM, and seeing how crews handle those and whether they handle them successfully. And it'll also give us a chance to think about what can go up into space. I really reflected on the comment one scientist said earlier, if it can fit, it can fly. Well, this is my daily environment. I'm going to pause here because I hope you can appreciate in pictures that it weighs a ton. It's a lot of stuff. Can't take that stuff up to space. Yet this is what we rely on to do basic and complex things. On the ISS currently is a medical kit that is about the size of a backpack. That's it. They use duct tape for a lot of problem solving too, medical and otherwise. And they are healthy, as you know. This is an artist's rendition of where we will go. And you know, we will get there, but we need your help to design the things that will be part of medical treatment there. I had the fortune to be at the Biosphere 2 these past 2 days because they were hosting an analog astronaut conference, and one of the speakers said something that really represents everything that you've shown today. If how we collectively imagine the future is how it will manifest. What you're designing today, I have no doubt will be circulating up there and far away in 10, 20, 50 years. And we'd like to do the same for human beings of all walks of life, not just perfect military specimens, and to find joy in people venturing beyond our planet and thriving and living there. So in summary, I hope I've given a flavor of the fact that University of Arizona has a space medicine program. It's actually the first and only one to focus on surgeons. And I would like to invite any of you who may be interested to reach out to us and to see how we can build more for the future. And thank you again for being part of your day today.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, so I was very curious. You threw up one chart about the stuff you have to take, and you also showed a robotic surgical station for perhaps an orbiting facility and so on. I have a perception that doctors do a lot of the hardware development through iteration, empirical development. You don't get a lot of opportunities to do surgery, medical care in situ. So is there, have you thought about the development program that has to go along with this to develop hardware and techniques for zero-G surgery and all of that sort of stuff that goes with the doctor training?
Yes, we have, and that's why I'm here. I'm inviting thank you. So the question is, have we thought of, has the left hand thought about the right hand in surgery, and who will do the development and material science engineering for what can go into space? Yes, we need that. To my knowledge and to all that I have learned from Dr. Peterson, that does not exist anywhere yet in a formal way. That's what's called an opportunity. And so part of the networking that we can do, and that I reach out to anybody who reaches out to me, is to see how we can develop that here. You know, we have industry partners in surgery who make robots and instruments. They're very earth-centric. And so it will take a village of specialists to develop something like that, but that would be great to start here.